It might be a crime not to read more crime and mystery fiction. Hello, welcome to my channel, Another Bibliophile Reads. My name is Greg, and today is the fourth in my series of books that I want to reread, broken down by genre. Obviously, today is crime and mystery fiction. These are 12 books that I have read before and want to reread. These are not necessarily the best that the genre of crime and mystery has to offer. They are simply the books, but for whatever reason, I want to pick up and reread. The first on the list is The Woman in White by Wilkie Collins. It was serialized between 1859 and 1860. It was considered a sensational novel at the time, and it covers the story of a drawing instructor who falls in love with one of his rich clients, a young lady, but they obviously cannot marry. He is of a lower class, and she is being forced into a marriage that she does not want. But there is a stipulation. She is rich, and in the will, the man who she's marrying cannot get full access to her fortune while she is alive. So obviously, the man has a murderous intent. This is one of the very first detective novels. The Valley of Fear by Arthur Conan Doyle, originally published 1915. It is the fourth of the Sherlock Holmes novels, and to be honest, probably the weakest. But in 2023, I reread The Sign of the Four, and in 2022, I had reread The Study in Scarlet and The Hounds of the Baskervilles. So this is the logical next choice. It will also probably be the group read for Holmes is Where the Heart Is, which is an event which will take place in 2025 in February. And this is a very cheesy, hard case crime edition of the novel. It is in public domain. But here's what it says on the back. Years ago, a PI out of Chicago brought justice to a dirty town. Now he's going to pay. A sawed-off shotgun blast to the face leaves one man dead and reveals a secret that has pursued the other across an ocean and set the world's most ruthless criminal on his trail. The man needs the help of a great detective. But could even Sherlock Holmes save him now? In a Lonely Place by Dorothy B. Hughes, originally published 1947. I picked this up because it was on sale at the New York Review Library Classics, and I love these editions, and I want to revisit this early noir detective story written by a woman. Los Angeles in the late 40s is a city of promise and prosperity, but not for the former fighter pilot Dix Steele. To his mind, nothing has come closer to matching that feeling of power and exhilaration and freedom that came with loneliness in the sky. He prowls the foggy city night, bus stops and stretches of darkened beaches and movie houses just emptying out, seeking solitary young women. His funds are running out and his frustrations are growing. Where is the good life that he was promised? Why does he always get a raw deal? Then he hooks up with his old Air Corps buddy, Brub, now working for the LAPD, who just happens to be on the trail of a strangler who's been terrorizing the women of the city for months. It was a good book. Strangers on a Train by Patricia Highsmith, originally published 1950. An architect is on a train. He is musing about his unfaithful wife, and he wants to get a divorce. He strikes up a conversation with a psychopathic playboy on the train. The psychopath has a problem with his father, and the psychopath says, "What if we exchange murders? You kill my father, I kill your wife, and everything will be grand because there'll be no trace, no motive to take back to us. Perfect murders." Those perfect murders never turn out the way they're supposed to. The Killer Inside Me by Jim Thompson, originally published 1952. Jim Thompson is one of the great classics of American crime fiction, and this might be his best book. Lou Ford is the deputy sheriff of a small town in Texas. The worst thing most people can say against him is that he's a little slow and a little boring. But then, most people don't know about the sickness that almost got Lou put away when he was younger, the sickness that is about to surface again. A psychopathic sheriff in Texas. It was one fantastic book. Cop Hater by Ed McBain, originally published 1956. I read this first time in the aughts. I thought it was pretty good, and I read a few of the 87th Precinct novels and just sort of drifted away from that series. After joining BookTube, I started watching the channel Criminale, and Ed McBain is his all-time favorite author, and this is his favorite series. And he got me reading this series again, and I just picked up where I had originally left off. But now I want to go back and revisit the first book of this series to see just how Ed McBain started it all. Shot in the dark, swift, silent, and deadly, knocking off the 87th Precinct's finest, one by one. The how of the killings was obvious. A 45 shot from the dark added up to 1, 2, 3 very dead detectives. And the why and the who were the precinct's big headaches now. Grifter's Game by Lawrence Block, originally published in 1961. This was the first republication of the Hard Case Crime series. I loved that Hard Case Crime series when they came out in these original paperbacks. I was a monthly subscriber, and it was so gratifying to receive one of these crime books in the mail every month. And this is the first of the series. I honestly don't remember too much about this first book, but because I love that series so much, I want to see what it was like and see if I want to kick off reading the whole series of books again. Conman Marlin was used to scoring easy cash off gullible women, but that was before he met Mona Broussard and found himself holding a stolen stash of raw heroin. Now Joe's got to pull off the most dangerous con of his career, one that will leave him either a killer or a corpse. Cover Her Face by P.D. James, originally published 1962. It is the first of the Adam Dalgliesh saga, and I think it was her first published book. I read this in the 90s when I was then dating my now wife, and I remember taking this paperback book back to her little flat in Washington, D.C., and reading it at night while she was sleeping next to me. So I want to see how good it was. I remember it was a little convoluted, but we'll see if I'm older now and wiser now and more in tune with her style. The book description says, Sally Jupe was a sly and sensuous young woman who used her body and her brains to make her way up the social ladder. Now she lies across her bed with dark bruises from a strangler's fingers, forever marring her lily-white throat. Someone has decided that the wages of sin should be death, and it is up to Chief Inspector Adam Dalgleish to find who is that someone. Hard Rain Falling by Don Carpenter, originally published in 1966. I first read this as an audio book when I was working in downtown Seattle. And to get from my office to home, I had to take a tram to the commuter train station. And while I was on this tram, I got so involved with the story, I missed my stop at the train station and had to take the tram down to the next drop off and turn around. And that's how exciting the book was. It is a hard-boiled novel about life in the American underground, from the pool halls of Portland to the jail cells of San Quentin. And it's about being down on your luck. Don Carpenter's Hard Rain Falling is a tough-as-nails account of being down and out, but never down for good, a Dostoevskian tale of crime, punishment, and the pursuit of an ever-elusive redemption. The novel follows the adventures of Jack, an orphaned teenager living off his wits in the Fleabag hotels and seedy pool halls of Portland, Oregon. Jack befriends Billy, a young black runaway and pool hustler extraordinaire. A heist gone wrong gets Jack sent to a reform school, from which he emerges embittered by abuse and solitary confinement. In the meantime, Billy has joined the middle class, married, fathered a son, acquired a business and a mistress. But neither Jack nor Billy can escape their troubled paths, and they'll meet again in San Quentin before their strange double drama comes to a violent and revolutionary end. Was Dora Suarez by Derek Raymond, originally published in 1990. It is the fourth of the Factory series. I was thinking of picking up the first in the Factory series, but I decided I wanted to reread this one more. It is perhaps one of the most grim, disturbing crime novels I have ever read. It gets down to the nitty-gritty, and you feel like you want to take a bath while reading parts of this book. An axe-wielding psychopath carves young Dora Suarez into pieces. On the same night, in London's West End, a firearm blows the top off the head of Felix Rota, part owner of the seedy Parallel Club. The unnamed narrator, a police sergeant, becomes obsessed with Dora as he investigates her murder. Autopsy results compound the puzzle. Suarez was dying of AIDS. Then a photo links Suarez to Rota, and inquiries at the club reveal how vile and inhuman exploitation can become. This probably counts as one of the most disturbing novels I have ever read. Devil in a Blue Dress by Walter Mosley, originally published 1990. It is the first in the hard-boiled Easy Rawlins detective series. I originally listen to this as an audiobook. In the aughts, I now have a Kindle version which I want to reread. Set in the late 40s, in the community of Watts, Los Angeles, The Devil in the Blue Dress follows Easy Rawlings, a black war veteran just fired from his job at a defense plant. Easy is drinking at a friend's bar, wondering how he'll meet his mortgage, when a white man in a linen suit walks in, offering good money if Easy will simply locate Miss Daphne Monet, a blonde beauty known to frequent black jazz clubs. This series has 16 books in it. It is the only book that I have read. I wanted to continue reading more, but I think I need to revisit the first book before I go on to the rest. American Tabloid by James Ellroy, originally published in 1995. This novel chronicles the events surrounding 3 rogue American law enforcement officers from November 22, 1958 through November 22, 1963. Each becomes entangled in a web of interconnecting associations between the FBI, the CIA, and the Mafia, which eventually leads to their collective involvement in the assassination of John F. Kennedy. This novel, as I remember, does include a JFK conspiracy plot. I think that's fine to have those plots in fiction, maybe not in real life, but this was an amazing read. It is, however, really the first part or first third of a really big book. So this plan also includes the second in the trilogy, or the second third, The Cold 6000. And to finish it off, gotta read Blood's a Rover. Okay, those are my plans to reread crime and mystery fiction. Thank you for watching, and keep on reading.